This episode is brought to you by HASA. Liquid is clearly better. Liquid chlorine is the highest purity, works immediately, has no added cyanuric acid or calcium, and it will leave your pool safe, clean, and clear. And by the Bottom Feeder professional grade battery powered vacuum system. It sucks to clean pools, so cleaning pools sucks less. Get $100 off with code DVB100.
This episode is brought to you by Skimmer, the #1 pool service software in North America. With Skimmer, you can streamline your schedule, grow your revenue, and keep your customers coming back with 5-star service. Whether you're a one-person operation or an established team, Skimmer is your partner in success. Visit getskimmer.com/poolguy to try Skimmer for free for 30 days.
The Pool Guy Podcast Show. The Pool Guy Podcast Show. The Pool Guy Podcast Show.
Hi, welcome to the Pool Guy Podcast Show. In this episode, I'm going to split some hairs a little bit, and I'm going to talk to you about when to vacuum a pool, when to skim it, when you can kind of get away with certain things at certain accounts. Basically, just a basic overview of vacuuming the pool and when you need to and when you probably don't need to. Are you a pool service pro looking to take your business to the next level? Join the Pool Guy coaching program. Get expert advice, business tips, exclusive content, and get direct support from me. I'm a 35-year veteran in the industry. Whether you're starting out or scaling up, I've got the tools to help you succeed. Learn more at swimmingpoollearning.com. And on the surface, and no pun intended, it doesn't sound like there's a lot to talk about here, but there actually is a lot to talk about because I get asked this question often by pool pros about vacuuming a pool, when it's appropriate. Should you have it in your service agreement that you vacuum each time you're at the pool? Should you have the employees vacuum the pool each time they're at the stop? And I think there's a difference in all three of those particular questions. I think for employees, it's optimal to have them vacuum the pool every time they're there in some form or fashion. And I'll go over the different ways they can vacuum the pool just to qualify that. But if you're a single poler and you really want to make your route more efficient, I wouldn't recommend having that in your service agreement that you vacuum the pool every time you're there. It should say vacuum when needed. And I think that's the key there because not every pool needs to have a full vacuuming. And there's all different definitions of vacuuming the pool and what qualifies in that category. So basically, when you get to a pool, you're going to assess the amount of dirt and debris in the pool. This is what you do weekly. Now, if you're in a service area like myself, where a lot of the pools have a suction side cleaner, you're in luck because a lot of times that's doing a really good job of cleaning the pool. And then all that's left is kind of spot vacuuming the pool, getting out areas that the cleaner may have missed, and of course vacuuming out and attached spots at the pool. My definition of vacuuming the pool is really broad, and it covers not only manual vacuuming the pool with a pool hose attached to the skimmer with a vacuum head, but it also includes using the automatic cleaner hoses with your vacuum head to vacuum out a pool, vacuum systems, something like the Vac Daddy would qualify, something like the WaterTech Precision version 10 would qualify. All these are the act of vacuuming the pool of debris. Now, one thing that you should know about vacuum systems, if you don't have one yet, if you have one, you know the limitation is that they don't get the very fine dirt out of the pool. Now, this is an important aspect that you need to understand about the vacuum systems, and there are actual limitations out there in the field. Now, they're not designed to get dirt out. They never were designed to get large amounts of dirt out of the pool. In fact, if you're using something like a 57 or 60 micron bag, it's going to really slow you down because you have to go slower to get some of the finer dirt out. The bag is having some resistance because once the dirt fills up the bag, water doesn't flow through as fast as it's being pulled in, so you have to go slower. The higher micron bags, like the 100, the 200, you have a lot more speed available when you're vacuuming. So if your primary concern is not to get dirt out, there's no need to get a 60 micron bag. You can use something in the sweet spot, which I think is the 75 micron bag. To me, that's like the sweet spot of the vacuum system bags, but there's nothing wrong with a 90 micron or 100 micron bag. You really don't notice much difference between 75 5, 90, and 100 in my opinion. But just note that you're not going to get the really fine dirt or algae dust out of the pool with the vacuum system. And again, they're primarily designed for leaf debris and for spot vacuuming a pool. So they qualify perfectly fine, in my opinion, as a way to vacuum the pool. So if you have employees and you want to put in the service agreement with the customer that my employee will vacuum the pool each week that they're here, that is a loose definition. They can use a bottom feeder or a riptide to spot vacuum a pool. As long as they drop something in the pool and do the vacuuming of the pool, in my opinion, that qualifies. So if they have a vac daddy or if you're using a manual vacuum, whatever they're using, they are vacuuming the pool each time. Again, that's just for optics, and it's not something that you need to enforce with your employees, but it just seems to be a policy that a lot of companies put in place to make sure that the employees actually are doing something at the stop. And believe me, it goes 100% towards customer satisfaction when every week the employee vacuums the pool. You're going to get some complaints if you don't have that in place where, hey, your employee was here for like 8 minutes. I didn't even see him vacuum the pool. Is he doing the right job? You're going to get those kind of complaints from people. And it's not something you want to fill up your inbox with. So just make that a policy. And you can just tell them, hey, if the pool looks good, just drop in the bottom feeder, move it around for 3 or 4 minutes, and then you're done. And basically, the spas need to be vacuumed as well. The great thing about the vacuum systems is they can vacuum a spa very rapidly, spot vacuum a pool. You don't need to carry a manual vacuum hose back there or use the automatic cleaner hoses. You just drop the vacuum system in and then you're done, basically. So that's the good thing about making that clause vague but also applicable to the employees on your pool route that are servicing your customers. And the Pool Guy Podcast Show has teamed up with UPA to bring you affordable, reliable liability insurance starting at just $64 a month. Get up to $2 million in coverage, and the members of my coaching group get an even lower rate. Protect your business and your peace of mind. Sign up with UPA today by clicking the link in the podcast description. Now here's something to keep in mind too, is that even a manual vacuum has limitations as well. So if you had a mild windstorm and the bottom of the pool is pretty full of leaf debris and the automatic cleaner is clogged up, usually that's what happens if you have a minor or even a mild to somewhat moderate windstorm. Automatic cleaners, the automatic suction side cleaners are just at that point done because they ran into a pile of leaves and are just sitting there all week. If you have a pressure side cleaner, a lot of times those are also done because the bag is full of debris and they can't pick up any more leaf debris. So sometimes it's actually futile to try to manually vacuum a pool with the vacuum head and the hose because every foot or two you're going to basically have to stop and unclog the vacuum head because the debris gets clogged up in there. And I just wouldn't even bother. If you have a canister, sometimes the debris gets caught in the head of the canister opening or the front of the canister, I should say, and that causes you to lose suction. So to me, it's futile. And believe me, I've tried various things with the manual vacuum head. I've gone around piles of leaves and vacuumed it, so I just get some of the dirt and smaller leaf debris. But then when I'm finished, the pool looks really bad because there's piles of debris with dirt tracks everywhere, dirt sections that I didn't vacuum. And then I get my leaf rake out and I'm trying to scoop that up, making a mess of everything. So that doesn't work either, and I've tried that before. Having a vacuum system, of course, solves that problem because you just drop the bottom feeder in and you can vacuum up the leaf debris. Some of the dirt, of course, gets picked up, but not a lot of it, not down to, the smaller micron. But to me, that doesn't really matter because you're going to get the automatic cleaner working and it's going to pick up the dirt for you. Another drawback with using your manual vacuum when there's a lot of dirt in the pool and you can overload the filter pretty quickly in that case, especially if it's a D filter. Then you have to stop, backwash it, recharge the filter. Sometimes you can overload the cartridge filter as well. And that's why having something that you can vacuum the waste, because here in Southern California, unfortunately, and I get this all the time when I mention this, is there's not a lot of filters with a waste mode built into them. It's kind of weird. But even the D filters here don't have the multi-port valve. There's push-pull pistons, and you can't really use that effectively. or you have cartridge filters without the waste mode. So having something that you can use to vacuum the waste is actually ideal in some situations, especially if there's not a lot of leaf debris but mainly dirt. Then I definitely would recommend having a portable pump, or even having something even bigger like the Advantage PortaVac. You don't really need to go that big if you don't use it very often, but just a portable pump to vacuum out to waste is really great. They actually do sell one called, I think it's called the SuperVac 2 at Advantage Manufacturing. It's already built for you with a handle, 1.5 horsepower motor. It's a pretty great cleanup pump. You can also use the Vac Daddy with the vacuum the waste adapter to vacuum out all of that dirt. And these are convenient tools to have in situations where you're vacuuming a lot of dirt because you don't want to vacuum that again into the filter, because if you have a D filter with the push-pull piston or a cartridge filter, all that dirt basically stays in there. So it's much better to have something you can use to vacuum the waste with. And that's kind of an optional thing, and you'll know in your area what you need in a situation like that. And so after you assess the pool, you can decide on the best way to vacuum it. If again you have a lot of leaf debris, then your vacuum system is your best bet. And then hopefully you have an automatic cleaner in there that can pick up the dirt for you afterwards. And if you get to a pool and it looks like you may be able to manual vacuum it, I mean, it looks like it's on the borderline. Again, I would err on the side of it doesn't seem like you can vacuum it in a timely manner, because if you're even vacuuming a pool that's kind of on the border where there's quite a bit of leaf debris and then there's dirt, and you're going to try to manually vacuum that, you have to go pretty slow as well to get everything thoroughly cleaned up. And at that point, I would just drop in the vacuum system and I wouldn't even try to kind of vacuum a pool that's on the borderline. Believe me, I've done that, many of those through the years, and it's no fun going at a turtle's pace, pulling the manual vacuum back, and then again it's going into the filter, you have to stop, backwash it. It just becomes a chore at that point to do it. Now, I did mention the WaterTech devices, and I do like the larger WaterTech cleaners. The Precision, it's a black cleaner. You can see it on their site with some red trim on it. It's called the Precision version 10. It's got really decent power. I mean, I think it's like 30 or 40 gallons per minute that it can pump throughout the impeller. So it's got decent suction. If I were to give you a real world comparison of the suction, I would say that it's like if you were to use the automatic cleaner that's connected to the pool at the side port, attach your manual vacuum head and vacuum the pool that way. That's about the suction power of the WaterTech Precision version 10. It's great because there's no cords. It's totally battery operated. You can drop it in anywhere in the pool, and it does allow you to connect a manual vacuum head to the front. All the debris goes into the bag that's inside the cleaner, and if you're using the sand silt bag, it picks up really fine dirt and sand and silt. They also make what they call the Pool Blaster Pro 2000, very similar to the Precision version 10. It's a little bit smaller and maybe slightly less power, but nonetheless it is also a really good full-size battery-operated portable vacuum. So look at those, keep those on your radar. I think they're a great alternative to getting your vacuum hose and vacuum head out. And if you're just spot vacuuming pools, those are perfect, and they definitely fit the category for your employees. They're really cool looking too, so customers will be like, well, that's a cool device, and get a lot of comments about that. I would suggest equipping your employees with maybe one of these along with the bottom feeder, and that way they can vacuum every pool without having to get their manual vacuum hose and vacuum head out. Now, of course, there are times when you are going to need to use the manual vacuum hose and head to get some of the finer dirt out of the pool, especially if the pool doesn't have an automatic cleaner. You'll be doing that often. But there is a time and place for each vacuuming method, and sometimes you can just skim the bottom of the pool effectively. If you get really good at skimming the pool, if you have a good leaf rake like the Purity Red Baron, or if you have the Piranha 2, these are great leaf rakes that you can use to skim the bottom of the pool off really well. And so sometimes you're just skimming the bottom of the pool, but I got to tell you that if you have a bottom feeder or those little Coquito vacuums that a lot of pool guys use, you're going to not want to use a leaf rake on the bottom, because it's going to be like maybe the same speed, I would guess, But I think the bottom feeder and those small little powered battery operated cleaners are more effective in getting the leaf debris off the bottom. And it saves you a little bit of time and energy because skimming the pool, you're sometimes moving debris a little bit and pushing it and going back over it again when it settles down. And so skimming the bottom of the pool is probably no longer the best method out there. I would just say using a smaller battery operated leaf vacuum or the bottom feeder would save you a lot more time than doing that. And then again, these other devices come in handy for vacuuming the spa. A lot of times to vacuum the spa out, you're connecting your cleaner head to the automatic cleaner hoses, and then you're flipping it into the spa to vacuum it out. Or in some cases, you have to bring your whole manual vacuum hose back there and head and vacuum out the spa. This is another place where the battery operated WaterTech cleaners come in handy. You can buy something like the Volt FX8Li or just the Pool Blaster Max, and you can use that to vacuum out the spas on your route pretty effectively. As you can tell, there's a lot of different options you have in vacuuming out the pool, and there's really nothing to pigeonhole you into using the manual vacuum head with the hose. And if you are going to have to use that often, if you don't have a lot of cleaners on your route, I really do suggest getting a service cart. Advantage Manufacturing has a great service cart. It just connects to the back of your truck with a hitch. You put your pool hose, your vacuum head on there. You can put chlorine and acid underneath it and take it back to the pool. So a service cart definitely is a must if you're going to do a lot of manual vacuum out there. And without the service cart, you're going back and forth to your truck a lot. Plus, it's really awkward to take the vacuum hose on your shoulder, have your tote with your net and pole, and walk back to the pool. To me, that wears you out a lot. And so a service cart is definitely a must-have if you are doing a lot of manual vacuuming with the hose and the vacuum head. So I think each pool is a little bit different. Each pool requires more vacuuming or less vacuuming. Some pools will need the manual vacuum. Some pools you can get away with the vacuum system. Ultimately, I think vacuuming the pools has gotten a lot easier in this decade. Prior to this, when I first started, all we had was the manual vacuum head and the pool hose, and we had really no other options but those two things, or skimming the bottom with your leaf rake. So this generation is fortunate that there are just a plethora of different ways to vacuum out a pool. If you're looking for other podcasts, you can find those by subscribing to my YouTube channel Monday through Friday. I post one there during the week. Or go to my website, swimmingprolearning.com. On the banner, there's a podcast icon. And then there'll be a drop-down menu with over 1,700 podcasts for you to listen to. And if you're interested in the coaching program that I offer, you can learn more at poolguycoaching.com. Thanks for listening to this podcast. Have a rest of your week. God bless. This episode is brought to you by HASA, providing products that deliver clean, healthy water for every aspect of everyday life. The bottom feeder battery-powered vacuum system, portable, powerful, and only weighs 12 pounds. And Skimmer. Get Skimmer, America's #1 pool service software. Podcast listeners can try Skimmer for free at getskimmer.com/poolguy.